Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narom Chaivam Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nasta Preyashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamas Loke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Yan, good morning. And again, welcome sa ating Srimad Bhagavatam class. We're now reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, Creation, fourth chapter. Anong title ng chapter natin today? Entitled The Appearance of Sri Narada. Text 1. Translation. On hearing Sutta Goswami speak thus, Saunaka Muni, who was the elderly, learned leader of all the rishis engaged in that prolonged sacrificial ceremony, congratulated Sutta Goswami by addressing him as follows. So the situation sa Naimisaranya, ito yung gathering ng mga saintly person. Sutta Goswami was the student of Sukadev Goswami, and he is being he is repeating yung nangyari sa situation nila Suka and Pariksit Maharaj. So Sukadev and Pariksit Maharaj, student niya, is disciple niya rin. Umatin doon is si Sutta Goswami. Tapos ginagawa niya rin yung Srimad Bhagavatam recitation and is teaching that to the sages in Naimisaranya. So, dito yon. Tayo sa scenario na to. Kinukwento niya yung nangyari dito. So, upon answering few of the questions, 6 of the questions ng mga sages sa Naimisaranya, lumapit yung elder sa mga saintly persons sa Naimisaranya because this is a custom. Sino yung magko-congratulate, mag-welcome, and magre-represent ng whole like organization, family, or school. This scenario is the sages in Namisaranya. The qualified is the most senior, the leader of the house, and an elderly man, and vastly learned. So sila ayun yung mga qualification. Sa etiquette, in the scriptures, it was written. So nakikita natin ngayon kapag merong mga gathering or mga event, merong mag-edify and merong mag-welcome, mag-i-introduce. At the same time, meron din magko-congratulate after mag-speak ng isang speaker or nagbigay ng talk. In the scriptures, it was already there. Ginagawa na nila yon. And ang pangalan nung elder, most senior sa Naimisaranya sages is Saunaka. So don't be confused. Si Suka Goswami or tinatawag ng Sukadeva. Tapos yung disciple niya si Sutta, letter T. Tapos yung magiging listener dun sa Bhagavatam sa Naimisaranya is Saunaka. Sukadev, Sutta, and Saunaka. So magkakaiba yon. Iba-ibang generation sila. From teachers to disciple. Tapos naging teacher, naging disciple. So, this Sri Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, yung student sa yung teacher should be in a bona fide line of disciplic succession. Hindi siya magtuturo out of mental speculation kasi it will be the scriptures, the wisdom will be ruined. So that the genuinity, the legitimacy, and the bona fide line and bona fide teachings should be there. So, ayun yung characteristic ng isang magiging teacher at the same time ng student should be in the disciplic succession. At the same time, he is repeating kung ano naturo sa kanya nung teacher niya. Not just like a tape recorder na word per word, but according also sa realization. In that way, hindi siya dapat go out of bound dun sa essence ng verse or essence ng teachings. Mas maganda kung mas mag-glorify niya or mas he will make it much more understandable to dun sa current audience. So that is the original purpose of um, text and yung parampara. Not just repeating word per word kasi hindi lahat applicable. Like in the future, baka mamaya hindi na alam ng mga tao yung example ng ibang acharya. So, you have to give some other example according to that realization and according sa relevance in that time. But the essence should be there, should be intact, should be with integrity. Sabi din ni Sri Prabhupada, unless this situation is created, the Bhagavatam recitation for extraneous purpose is useless labor, both for the speaker and for the audience. So if hindi nagawa to, na-maintain yung pagiging bona fide nung line na yon, baliwala yung pag-aral ng Bhagavatam. Saunaka, ito si Saunaka, he said in the text 2, O Sutta Goswami, you are the most fortunate and respected of all those who can speak and recite. Please relate the pious message of Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken by the great and powerful sage Sukadev Goswami. So si Saunaka, nire-request si Sutta Goswami to recite yung message na tinuro ni Sukadev Goswami kay King Pariksit. So this was being acknowledged by the sages na bona fide yung pinag-usapan nila. At the same time, he's humbly requesting Sutta Goswami to tell kung ano yung pinag-usapan ni Sukadev sa ni King Pariksit. If ever may mga mag-attempt to discuss, recite Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, in a manner where it is just for benefit of money, ginawang trabaho, ginawang profession, even perfect siya sa public speaking, pang TED Talk yung quality niya, pero he's doing that without the guidance of the spiritual teacher. His motivation is mostly for his benefit or any fame. Sabi ni Srila Prabhupada, or those impersonalists and those who are fruitive workers, ayun nga, yung puro karma lang yung gusto nila, good karma and all. If these people try to recite and teach Srimad Bhagavatam or or study even, one cannot enter the transcendental personal activities of the Supreme Person. Kasi hindi siya um, nag-rely lang according sa pagiging scholar. One should study, learn yung Srimad Bhagavatam in the right mood, at the same time with the right teacher, in the right disciplic succession. Unless hindi magawa yung um, ah, condition na yon, one could not enter. He would just see this as a material story. Even yung pastime ni Krishna, you will think of Krishna as a normal person without that right mood. So ayun yung key. In the right mood, in the right motivation, and having the right teacher. So one could enter. So bakit tayo always in praying and reciting the invocation mantras, putting ourselves in humility and the mood of request for us to be able to understand. Kasi only Krishna could make us understand. Otherwise, the forgetfulness is there. Without Krishna's mercy, hindi natin maintindihan yung mga simpleng bagay. You could witness if yung may mga tao kang try mo explain na we're not the body, we're the spirit soul, yung very basic, yung very elementary na philosophy na yun, hindi nila magigets kagad. Just even the diet of one could not kill an animal for food kasi they're living entities. Hindi nila magets yun na yung basic na principle na yung animals are also alive. Inisip nila, ano lang yung bagay lang yun. Eat lang, eat. Di ba sa aral natin ng language, he or she, pag yung animals, eat lang din siya. So even that, hindi nila magigets. Kasi wala silang proper teacher, not in the right mood, not in the um, proper motivation. So, ganun ka simple, ganun din ka complicated at the same time to be in this study ng Srimad Bhagavatam. In text number 3, so magkatanong si Saunaka Rishi kay Sutta Goswami. In what period and at what place was this first begun? And why was this taken up? From where did Krishna Dwapayana Vyasa, that's Vyasadeva, the great sage, get the inspiration to compile this literature? So, if meron topic na pinag-uusapan, pinag lagi natin tinatanong, saan galing yung kwento na yan? Or paano nagsimula? Saunaka Rishi is asking, ano ba ang history ng Srimad Bhagavatam? Saan ang galing? Ito. So, it was compiled by Srila Vyasadeva. So, he was asking, paano nagsimula yung Srimad Bhagavatam? And si Vyasadeva, paano siya na-inspire i-compile yung Vedas? Again, Vyasadeva, yung Vedas, hinati niya sa apat kasi it was originally one Veda, one scripture. Hinati niya para mas maintindihan ng mga tao. At the same time, he compiled yung Mahabharat, the other Puranas, the history and all, para for those less intelligent people in Kali Yuga. Because we are so distracted, we were so addicted sa material things, our attention span even sobrang ikse. That was 5,000 years ago. What more pa kung ano yung meron ngayong present age, di ba? Alam ko, few seconds na lang yata yung yung attention span ng mga tao ngayon. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo yung mga commercial, yung mga ads sa sa video application sa internet, napaiksi na lang. Or kung makita mo sa mga content sa videos, lagi silang quick transition, quick angle, di ba? Kasi yung attention span, bawal nila mabitawan. In that few studies, sobrang iksi na lang daw ng attention span ng mga tao. So if you're reading a book, or 5 seconds skip ad, di ba? Ayun, sabi sa chat box. Yeah, in the, how do you call this? In the, yung mga teachers natin, or yung mga may mga anak, alam na alam nila yan, yung attention span ng mga bata. Sobrang ikse, sobrang bilis. Few seconds lang. So this was made for people in Kali Yuga, for us to be able to understand. So nagkaroon ng mga stories, di ba? For us to be able to relate. Sabi nga, Prayok Shavad, the scriptures is like that. Kasi, napakasakit sa damdamin natin if someone told us, nagbigay ng feedback, ito yung dapat mong gawin, ito yung nangyayari sa'yo, you are a fool. Hindi natin kaya tanggapin yun. Yung mga tao, hindi welcoming palagi yung feedback. Things to improve, saka yung mga kailangan nating tanggalin sa sarili natin. Hindi siya palagi welcome. Pero, if we hear stories that we could relate to, mas may inspire tayo to improve our lives and to move forward into our spirituality and to our Krishna consciousness. So this study of Srimad Bhagavatam is not for us to check on others. Sabi Srimad Bhagavatam, dapat ganito yung lifestyle. Di ba devotee siya? Or di ba ito yung leader? It's not for us to point fingers. Study of Srimad Bhagavatam is for us to check on ourselves how we could improve this. This is a very intelligent and relevant inquiry, sabi ni Sri Prabhupada, because people are, of course, wants to know the history. Anong history ng Srimad Bhagavatam? It will bring about yung clarity ng mind ng tao kasi tinatanong niya saan nanggagaling yung inaral natin. Saan nanggagaling yung i-discuss mo ngayon, my dear Sutta Goswami. So, tinatanong niya si Vyasadeva, paano siya na-inspire? Yung first na compile. Text number 4. His si Vyasadev's he was speaking about Vyasadeva. His son was a great devotee, an equibalanced monist whose mind was always concentrated in monism. He was transcendental to mundane activities, but being unexposed, he appeared like an ignorant person. So si Vyasadeva, ang anak niya, si Sukha Goswami. So, natutunan ni Sukadeva Goswami yung Srimad Bhagavatam kay Vyasadeva sa tatay niya. So again, ito na yung timeline natin ay yung disciplic succession. Suka Goswami, tinuturo niya kay Pariksit Maharaj. Umattend doon sa assembly si Suta Goswami. Ngayon, tinuturo niya sa Naimisaranya, yung mga saintly person inside Naimisaranya or sages doon. Si Suta Goswami, tinuturo niya sa sages doon. Ang leader nila sa mga sages doon, si Saunaka Rishi. So may apat na character na tayo nakikilala. Saunaka, Suta, Sukadev, saka si Vyasadeva. Yung compiler, at the same time, tatay ni Suka Goswami. Sabi dito si Suka Goswami was so unexposed sa paligid and he is focusing on monism. He appeared like an ignorant person. Kung nakikita niyo yung picture ng Srimad Bhagavatam, wala dito. Suka Goswami is not wearing anything. He's just like a madman. Wala siyang suot. And wala rin mali siya sa kanya yun. One characteristic was emphasized here na equibalence monist. And in Sri Prabhupada's purport, he's mentioning yung dalawang klaseng soul, the liberated soul and the conditioned soul. The liberated soul is those who are in Krishna consciousness. And those in the conditioned soul is conditioned by material energy, by Maya. Our goal is to be in Krishna consciousness. Kasi those who are in Krishna consciousness, sobrang alert sila palagi. Alerto sila na they could not be victimized by Maya. And yung engagement nila is to always be Krishna conscious. Alert sila, hindi sila parang ano lang, yes or no, or minsan bihira lang. Sobrang alert sila kung paano nagiging life and paano nagiging consciousness nila. Alerto sila with their lifestyle, with their diet, with their activities, with the four negative principles, with their sadhana. Kasi they know Maya could easily take them and make them condition again. But Sukadev Goswami was on that top level. Hindi siya affected ng conditioning ni Maya. So, si Sukadev Goswami, actually, nung pinagbubuntis siya ng nanay niya, he heard the Bhagavatam from his father habang nasa womb siya, si Vyasadeva. Yes, we're back. So, si Sukadev Goswami was still in the womb. Natutunan niya Srimad Bhagavatam kay Vyasadeva sa dad niya. And nalaman niya kung gaano ka-worse yung Kali Yuga. Nalaman niya kung gaano ka-worse yung material world. Ayaw niya lumabas sa tiyan ng nanay niya. Ayaw siya ipanganak. At the same time, yung parents niya, of course, gusto na siyang mapanganak. When he was born, sobrang delay yung panganak sa kanya. He was already 16 years old. And pagpanganak sa kanya, ayaw niya ma-attach sa parents, ayaw niya ma-attach sa ibang life kasi he's a liberated soul. Umalis na kagad siya. Then habang umaalis siya, naglalakad siya. Yung dad niya, si Dave, sinusundan siya. That is in text 5. While Dave was following his son, beautiful damsels who were bathing naked covered their bodies with cloth. Although Sri Dave himself was not naked, but they had not done so when his son had passed. The sage inquired about this, and the young ladies replied that his son was purified and when looking at them made no distinction between male and female. But the sage made such distinctions. So habang naglalakad si Sukadeva Goswami, sa may reservoir of water doon, may mga damsels, mga ladies na naliligo, naked. And naked is Suka Goswami, di ba? Means not wearing clothes. So hinahabol siya ni Dave. Habang hinahabol siya ni Dave, dumaan yung si Suka Goswami kung saan na rin yung mga naliligo na babae where they were naked. Naked ni si Suka Goswami. Normal lang. Hindi nagtakip ng katawan yung mga babae. Tapos yung si Dave na, yung dumaan, habang sinusundan niya si Suka Dave Goswami. Gusto niya nga pabalikan kasi maalis na kagad. Tumatakas na. Yung mga babae nag-cover sila, nahiya sila, kinuha nila yung mga damit nila, nagsuot sila ng damit. So nagtanong si Dave, paano, how come that yung dumaan yung anak ko si Suka Goswami, Suka Dave Goswami, wala siyang suot, wala kayong suot, bakit di kayo nagtakip ng katawan ninyo? Bakit nung dumaan ako, doon kayo nagtakip? And the damsels, the beautiful young damsels, yung mga nakatira sa place na yon, is sabi nila, Sukadev Goswami is a liberated person and is very pure. Wala nga siyang distinction between male and female. Meron siyang that equal vision. So parang, baka ito yung sinasabi nila sa Bible na si Eva siya kasi Adan. Wala pa silang mali siya. Before pa nila kainin yung apple sa bawal na na tree na yon. So same thing. If one is so liberated, he made actually no distinction between male and female. May equal vision siya. That is in the highest level of liberation. Pero si Dave also was in that stage. Pero since he is in the Griyasta or householder life, may family siya, he have to make distinction. He has to play or act in the role sa society. So kaya yun, may damit siya and all. So hindi lahat pwede maging Sukadeva Goswami. We cannot pretend. We should not imitate. We could follow the footsteps on studying Srimad Bhagavatam or the scriptures, but we cannot do it. No. Marami gumagawa nito sa India. Some are just imitating. But one could not know if one is a saintly person or a liberated person or just imitating. Kasi people could just dress up as a monk, as a saintly person. So it was mentioned in the sixth text. How was he, Srila Sukadev, the son of Vyasa, recognized by citizens when he entered the city of Hastinapur? Ito na yung Delhi. Delhi ngayon. After wandering in the province of Kuru and Jangala, appearing like a madman, dumb and retarded. So, ganun yung lifestyle ni Sukadev Goswami. He's like a mendicant, like a beggar. He's actually a beggar. He's also naked, but very highly qualified. So, yung si Pariksit Maharaj, back to sa story ni Pariksit Maharaj nung he was cursed to only have 7 days. Tinatanong ni Saunaka Rishi, paano na-recognize ng mga tao si Sukadeva Goswami na siya yung highest? Eh, wala nga sa katawan yun. Parang nakaubad nga siya. He's just roaming around. Srila Prabhupada mentioned that A sage is not therefore recognized by sight. A saintly person, di mo siya makikita by sight. One could dress up as a saintly person. One could be just like having, just like yesterday, having a family or having a normal job. Pero hindi natin malalaman kung gaano sila ka-saintly pag nakita natin sila. Malalaman lang natin kapag nagsalita na yung tao na yun. Sabi niya, malalaman mo yung intelligence ng tao kapag nagsalita na siya, pag binukas na niya yung bibig niya. One could really look smart, pero pag nagsalita na isang tao, ito yung, ito yung caliber niya. We don't, of course, need to judge, pero we could recognize, especially yung saintly person. It's not in the garb of clothes, pero when one speaks, one could know he is a saintly person. So Sukadev Goswami is also not um, there for ordinary people. Very rare. Siyempre yung makilala siya, malaman ng mga tao. Paano nalaman ng mga tao na siya yung saintly person, siya yung liberated person. Siya yung dapat magturo kay Pariksit Maharaj on his last days. Because he is saintly. When he speaks, he knows, people knows. So ito yung tanong nila, how did it so happen that King Pariksit met this great sage, making it possible for this transcendental essence of the Vedas or the Bhagavatam to be sung to him? So ito yung history, paano na-compile to, paano nangyari yung conversation. So King Pariksit was about to die, then Sukadev Goswami was roaming around. So the sages, habang nagtatanong-tanong si Pariksit Maharaj, anong gagawin ko, mamatay na ako? So, advice ng mga saintly person, you should listen to Suka Dev Goswami. And from there on, that 7 days, ayun yung Srimad Bhagavatam. Text number 8, he, Sukadev Goswami, was accustomed to stay at the door of a household only enough for a cow to be milked. And he did this just to sanctify the residence. So Sukadev Goswami is a saintly person, a highly liberated person, but he is also a beggar. So, paano yung Radhacharan? Kasi yung mga beggar sa amin medyo, hindi okay yung pag-iisip nila eh. Of course, this is different. He is not like a beggar na nakikita natin materially. This is mentioned here na hindi siya nagstay sa loob ng bahay or even in the gate, sa door ng matagal. Yung longest time niya to stay in a householder's life is only in comparison sa time na makapag-milk ng to a cow. So approximately 30 minutes lang yon. Ganun lang siya katagal nag-stay sa doorstep ng bahay to beg alms. Not for himself, kasi para saan? Wala nga siyang damit, wala siyang possession. For that householder, the people in that house to be sanctified, to be purified. So that is the custom. That is the real purpose. A saintly person could beg, could give you book, could beg for donation, and thinking, saan nga gamitin ng mga monk na to yung mga perang dinidonate ko? No? It's not for them. It's for you. It's for those householder. Kasi he's engaging you to be in Krishna consciousness, to be in devotional service. Wala kang time, busy ka. Okay, your donation in the form of food or in the form of anything that we could offer sa temple or in the form of money could be part ng devotional service. So you would get benefit. The householder could get benefit. And they would be benefited and the seed of bhakti will be planted sa kanila. Of course, siyempre si Sukadev Goswami was a highly elevated person. By his presence, that association of a saintly person, the seed of bhakti and the devotional service already is moving forward. So he's doing that not for himself, not for his any selfish benefit para sa kanya. He's doing that for the people around. Kung kanino siya nag-beg. Even Lord Chaitanya was begging when he descended 5,000 years ago. He was begging, chant the holy name. Haribol. That's the meaning of Haribol. Bolo is chant, and Hari is the name of Krishna. Haribol, chant the holy name. You're asking people to chant the holy name. So anong sagot mo pag sabi sa'yo Haribol? Hare Krishna. Haribol is not the mantra. Haribol is to chant the mantra. Of course, Hari is Krishna's name. You're asking them to chant Krishna's name. So minsan sinasabi ng mga devotees, Hari Hari, because you're asking to chant the holy name. So one custom din yun and one etiquette yun. I've learned na the senior devotees or those who teach us, or especially the spiritual master, we don't ask them, we don't call, or we don't greet them Haribol. They will greet us Haribol. They will, of course, ask us to chant the holy name. They're seniors to us. It's more senior to us. So we chant Hare Krishna because they're always engaging us in Krishna's chanting the holy name. So they take alms from the fortunate householder. Sabi dito, pag dumating yung mga saintly person sa bahay ng mga householder, sobrang fortunate ng mga tao in that house. Kasi they will have association and they will be engaged in devotional service. Of course, when that person speaks, yung essence ng scriptures, especially if siya ay person Bhagavata, yung essence ng Bhagavatam we could learn. So, the householder is so fortunate. In the custom ng Vedic etiquette, ano dapat gawin natin if a saintly person or even a normal person visited our place? We should at least have these three factors. We should offer a place to sit. We should offer something, of course, prasyada, mas maganda. Dapat. Food. Or if wala, is water. At least water. If wala ka talaga nun, we should offer sweet words. So that's the etiquette in receiving guests. And even uninvited guests. In Mahabharat and other Krishna stories, Krishna Katha, even those enemies, mga kalaban nila, if pag dumalaw sila sa bahay ng kaaway na nakalaban nila sa war na yun, they should be received. They should be host with great reverence. So maraming story matutunan sa Mahabharat. So this saintly person beg alms not for the purpose material gain, but for the purpose it's sanctifying the homes, the house of people around. And they are very much alert. Katulad na sabi natin kanina, these people are very much alert na hindi sila um, karoon ng ma-awaken yung mga desires or ma-attract ni Maya. Having, of course, when they entered yung mga magagarbong bahay with all the material opulence and all, they're very much alert. When Sri Prabhupada was visiting houses of those they are preaching at America, in America yata yun. Pero he was telling stories na palagi siya nagdadasal kay Krishna. Si Sri Prabhupada na yun nagdadasal siya kay Krishna na hindi siya makuha ni Maya. Because of course, they're entering a household life. They are in the renounced order or mga sannyasi. If one is being allured and being hindi sila alert and pabaya sila dun sa mga nangyayari, it is just like drinking poison because it's too much dangerous. Sabi ni Prabhupada, this is much more dangerous than drinking poison and committing suicide. It's like a spiritual suicide for them. So of course, our householders, the renouncant should always engage the householders, the Griasta, in Krishna consciousness activities. Their duty 100% is to give Krishna consciousness to our householders. Kung di naman nangyayari yun, of course, them visiting the house, they could still hear. That's the essence, hearing from the saintly person. So when we attend yung mga classes of Guru Maharaj, of Ashu and all, we could hear from them. So also, we also protect those saintly person. It's not our, like, nakasalalay sa atin, pero we should make arrangement. So, of course, when we invite them in our houses, kailangan we make arrangement, di ba? It should be in the mode of goodness or whatsoever, at least the arrangement. So may mga customs, may mga etiquette. In the text 9, it is said that Marriage Pariksit is a great first-class devotee of the Lord, and that his birth and activities are all wonderful. Please tell us about him. So, si Vyasadeva, Sukadeva Goswami, kausap niya si Pariksit Maharaj, si Suta Goswami sa Naimisaranya, and si Saunaka Rishi, siya yung leader ng mga sages sa Naimisaranya. Tinatanong niya uli, si Suta Goswami, hindi na about kay Vyasadeva. Tinatanong na kay Vyasadeva, tinatanong na si Suta Goswami. Ngayon, tinatanong niya si Pariksit Maharaj. So, yung history, yung character ng Srimad Bhagavatam. Kasi si Pariksit Maharaj is actually descendant ng Pandavas. Anak siya nila King Pariksit. So parang tito niya halos si Krishna. Tama. Kasi magpinsan yung Pandavas sa si Krishna. So in a higher birth siya, he was the emperor as well. Siya yung sa kanya binigay yung reign of being an emperor. Yung activities niya was so sublime. He ruled the earth perfectly. Meron niya nagka-chastise sa isang cow, si Kali, personified, pinapatay niya isang bull. Sinastise niya rin yun. And he was, every citizen was pleased by him. So, sobrang satisfied yung mga tao. So, they want to hear more. Yung sila na Karishi sa saintly person. Yung mga character na to, they want to hear more. Text number 10, he was great emperor and possessed all the opulences of his acquired kingdom. He was so exalted that he was increasing the prestige of the Pandu dynasty. Why did he give up everything to sit down on the bank of the Ganges and fast until death? Kasi nga, of course, we know he was cursed to only have 7 days. Pero pwede niya actually kontrahin yun. Pero no, he did not. He accepted yung curse sa kanya. And bakit daw he renounced everything? Kailangan niya umupo sa bank of the Ganges to listen sa kanyang spiritual guru, si spiritual master, Sukadeva Goswami, regarding Krishna consciousness, regarding the Srimad Bhagavatam. Bakit niya ginive up yun? So yung mga tao always astonished. This is astonishing, and therefore all were eager to know the cause. Ano yung reason? Bakit nga ba? Palagi tinatanong yan. Personally, I'm not a great personality. I'm not a highly liberated person. Just being, aspiring to be a devotee, a servant, and a monk. Lagi may katanong, bakit mo ginive up yung buhay mo dati? Paano ka napunta sa pagiging monk? So people are curious in a small person like me. What more pa kay Pariksit Maharaj, an emperor, a descendant of Bharat, and kamag-anak siya mismo ni Krishna. So he have all the opulences. Bakit niya ginive up? Para makinig ng Krishna consciousness. Bakit siya nag-retire? And actually, retirement sa power, retirement sa opulence, diba, is very hard. Yung iba kaya mag-retire sa work. Lalo na kung parang work lang talaga yun, hindi niya passion or hindi niya talaga sinasa puso yung trabaho niya. Kaya niya mag-retire. For what? For sense gratification. Mag-enjoy lang. But this kind of retirement is different.
Si Pariksit Maharaj retired sa position being an emperor sa Pilipinas. Even mamamatay ng tao, matanda-matanda na gusto pa rin niya ng power, gusto pa niya tumakbo sa politika. Ayaw niya bitawan yung money. But as a person, even having those to the extreme, he could renounce it, being he could be retired and focus on listening and hearing from saintly person. He was such a great emperor, text number 11, that all his enemies would come and bow down at his feet and surrender all their wealth for their own benefit. He was full of youth and strength, and he possessed insuperable kingly opulences. Why did he want to give up everything, including his life? So, gano'n siya ka-great na emperor, even his enemies nag-bow down sa kanya and nag-offer ng mga taxes na yun, ng mga wealth na yun. Para saan? Not for just fear. They know he's a saintly person, he's a saintly king. For their own benefit, ng mga enemies niya. So si Sukadev Goswami is begging alms. Ang nagbe-benefit yung householder. Yung mga enemies ni Pariksit Maharaj, nagbibigay ng, nag-offer na kanilang mga taxes. Nag-bow down pa kay Pariksit Maharaj for their own benefit also. Because they are all saintly. Saintly person, Sukadev Goswami, and a saintly king. Ayun nga, meron siya full of youth and strength. So hindi siya matanda-matanda, but he still gives up yung position, yung power. So tinanong ulit, bakit gustong gawin ni Pariksit Maharaj to give up everything, including his life? It was mentioned previously, hindi siya nag-fasting until death siya nung 7 days na yun. Hindi siya kumakain. Hindi siya umiinom. Hindi nga rin siya tumatayo para umihi eh. He was just listening, nectar after nectar, drinking, getting drunk of the nectarian words of Sukadev Goswami. Prabhupada mentioned regarding Pariksit Maharaj, there was nothing undesirable in his life. Lahat sobrang desirable. Actually, sa normal na tao, there's no question of retiring, having this kind of lifestyle, this position, this arrangement. Yung kingdom niya full of prosperity, and enough grains, milk, and metals. Yung all yung rivers nila and mountains was full of potency. Sabi nga yung mountains, doon nagagaling yung mga nutrients. Kaya yung mga palayan, yung mga farm na sa baba ng mountains, mas rich yung mga lupa doon. Kasi yung mga mountains yung nagdadala ng mga vitamins, nutrients na yun. Because of the rain. So this, yung rain ni Pariksit Maharaj is not just satisfied yung mga tao. Even nature was satisfied. So, paano malalaman yon? Maganda yung mga grains, the cows are satisfied kasi they're well fed, taken care of, they're producing much more milk. Even the elements like metals, binibigay ng earth, diba? Yung mga gold. The rivers are so rich. So, pag great leadership, hindi lang tao is satisfied. Everything, everyone, even Mother Earth is satisfied. So, the abundance is there. If leadership is not that good, the people is not satisfied, and even Mother Earth is not satisfied. There is a lot of calamities. So, you know why this is happening. Kaya importante to have saintly kings, saintly leaders. May pastime si King Pritu Maharaj in the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He even chastised Mother Earth kasi hindi siya nagbibigay ng enough supply sa people. Kasi yung dad niya was a not so saintly king. So si Mother Earth, winidraw niya yung mga resources. Nung siya na, he's a saintly king, si Mother Earth di pa rin binibigay. Chinastize niya. He wanted to kill. Hinahabol niya actually. Makita ko yung picture nun. Hinahabol ni Pariksit si Mother Earth in the form na cow. He was chastising. He wanted to kill si Mother Earth. And of course, si Bumi, Mother Earth, bowed down kay King Pariksit. Then he supplied. So ganun yung kingly order. And we could know that Pariksit Maharaj was a saintly king. Everyone satisfied kasi abundant yung supplies nun. So bakit siya biglang mag-retire, makikinig ng Srimad Bhagavatam kay Sukadev Goswami? And even with all the opulences, he's fasting. Text number 12. Those who are devoted to the cause of the personality of Godhead live only for the welfare, development, and happiness of others. They do not live for any selfish interest. So even though the emperor, that was Pariksit, was free from all attachment to worldly possessions, how could he give up his mortal body, which was shelter for others? It was defined here, ano yung devotee? He lived only for the welfare, development, and happiness of others. And King Pariksit was a perfect example of this. He is not selfish and is free from attachment and even possession, kahit siya yung king. Tapos, ang dami nakatake shelter sa kanya. Lahat, basically, lahat ng living entity sa mundo. Pero again, alam niyo yung bakit ginawa niya yung pag-retire doon sa mga yon, pag-renounce doon, and face yung end ng life niya. Listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. A devotee of the Lord automatically has all good qualifications. Sabi niya, when one is a devotee of Krishna, the godly qualities, even of course, the godly qualities will be developed. Pero they will not become God. What more pa yung demigod qualities? Kasi nga, yung mga demigods is mostly near 78% ng um, pwedeng magkaroon niya perfection. Because he was a devotee of the Lord, he knew perfectly well how to conduct his administrations for everyone's happiness, men, animals, plants, and all living creature. So the greatest leader should um, character ng isang devotee. Because he knows Krishna is the supreme, he knows Krishna is ultimately the beneficiary. He knows also how to conduct administration, administrative service. He could please people, animals, even plants, and other living entities, living creatures. His only interest is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And ano yung ginagawa niya? Ni-engage niya yung mga tao. So kaya sobrang saya. When one is engaging everyone to Krishna consciousness, everyone is satisfied. So ayun niya sabi, the king's interest is to guide all subjects back to the kingdom of God. In comparison sa leaders natin ngayon, they just want to raise the economic development. They just want people to be gratifying their senses easily. Lahat instant, lahat ito, and other things. Pero a real leader is their goal is tulungan yung mga tao sa paligid, yung mga subordinate niya to go back home, back to God. So that's the real leadership. And our last verse for today, it was mentioned, we know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects, except some portions of the Vedas. And thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you. Sri Prabhupada mentioned here there are brahmanas or yung mga priests. They could recite verses, perform mga sacrifices, and other qualities and duties sa society. But there is also parivrakacharya. Parivrakacharya is the learned preachers. Ang ginagawa nila, they disseminate transcendental knowledge to one and all. Kinakalat nila yung Krishna consciousness sa paligid. So again, this is not the same. At the same time, parehas silang ng goal. Iba yung ginagawa nila, but with the same goal. For people to be Krishna conscious. You would see some devotees are very Brahminical. They could recite the verses, the mantras very perfectly. And you could see some, yung mga devotees, hindi sila magaling kumanta or hindi rin sila magaling mag-recite ng verses. But they could spread Krishna consciousness far and wide. They could touch the hearts of people. Same ang goal nila, to bring people to Krishna consciousness. Bakit it was mentioned here? Kasi they're considering, of course, yung mga teachers nila, sila Sutta Goswami and all, to be learned scholars, learned preachers to share Krishna consciousness to others. And sobrang importante itong mga Vedas na to and these scriptures kasi they are the ripened fruit of all the Vedas. Sabi nga dito um, sa Srimad Bhagavatam, yung glories ng Srimad Bhagavatam, it is just like a ripened fruit. Sobrang hinog na pag nabaksak mo yung fruit na to, magiging juice. It is a semi-solid fruit, pero walang tapon. One could eat wala siyang buto, tapos yung balat niya pwedeng kainin. Everything is edible, very sweet. Just like Srimad Bhagavatam, hindi mo lang kakainin, hindi mo lang i-relish yung 10th canto, which is the pastimes of Krishna. Even the succeeding stories, even yung mga stories ng mga devotees involved, or yung mga incarnation ni Krishna, it's all nectarian. Malalasing ka when you drink through your ears yung nectarian words from the mouth of saintly persons. That's your high. That's your spiritual high. Your spiritual drunkardness should be there. Mahay ka spiritually. And we drink. Kaya si Parisit Maharaj and the saintly person in that conversation nila ni Sukadev Goswami, hindi sila tumatayo, hindi sila nagugutom, hindi sila naiihi. Hay na hay sila listening, drinking that nectar sa ear nila. Galing sa lotus mouth ni Sukadev Goswami. And that nectar was compiled by Vyasadeva and also was translated by our very dear His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada in this form of books. And we are very fortunate and we should be always grateful na umaabot sa atin yung nectarian words na to. Ito yung ecstasy nila in their love for Krishna. Medyo malayo tayo. We're praying na maabot natin yung ecstatic love natin for Krishna. That highest form. But these devotees in our line, and recently, Srila Prabhupada, ito yung tinatawag nilang ecstasy of Srila Prabhupada, yung purports niya. Yung love nila for Krishna na dumadaan sa disciplic succession, they wanted to share to everyone. How? They wrote it, the realization, they tell it, and nilagay nila sa Srimad Bhagavatam for the benefit ng humanity, for our benefit. So hopefully, nalalasing kayo every morning in our Srimad Bhagavatam classes. Salamat for attending and continue to drink the nectarian words in our classes sa Srimad Bhagavatam. As we move further, we will discuss kung paano ginawa ni Vyasadeva hati-hatiin yung mga Vedas. At the same time, yung title ng chapter na to, Appearance of Shri Narada. So si Vyasadeva, makikilala niya yung guru niya. Atras pa tayo na isa, si Narada Muni. And thank you very much for attending. We stop sa text 13, bukas text 14 na tayo. And we will learn more about the history ng Srimad Bhagavatam kasi actually ng Vedas, kung paano nangyari na Ito yung nectar, ito yung cream ng Vedas. And in the, I think 2 days from now, we will get to know yung appearance ni Narada Muni. Thank you very much, everyone. Please continue to chant your rounds, read Srila Prabhupada books, and be Krishna conscious. And thank you for attending in Zoom and those who are listening to our Facebook Live and also sa ating YouTube channel and other podcast channels. Maraming maraming salamat. Please chant the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna and Hari Bol. I'm your servant, Rata Charandas. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaura Premanand. See you later. 11 o'clock yata yung next class natin. And 7 o'clock for our little temple. Creating your sacred space in your house, in your home, by now YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, everyone.